Hello students, welcome back to Career Power Hyderabad powered by Adda 24/7. So students, today we'll see the section wise revision, weekly revision of the current affairs, September part 2. Sorry for the delay in the video. So before going into the video, please subscribe our YouTube channel, like and share our videos, join our Telegram channel and download the Career Power Hyderabad app. We'll provide the links in the description as well as comment section. So this video is about section wise revision, as you are very familiar with this section wise revisions, very helpful for all the bank and SSC RRB examinations. So today we'll see the first section, national news. So we have 7 important questions in this national news in the week. So the first question for today, India is the first country in Asia to launch a plastic pact to promote circular economy for plastics. So the pact has been signed by the Confederation of Indian Industries in collaboration with which of the following organizations? So Plastic Pact is signed in India by the Confederation of Indian Industry with which of the following organization? The answer is Worldwide Fund for Nature, India. So Confederation of Indian Industries and Worldwide Fund for Nature, India. So both of them signed a pact called the Plastic Pact. Now we'll see the details about this news. So India is the first Asian nation to launch the Plastic Pact. Okay, so mainly this is a platform to promote circular system for plastics. So this India Plastic Pact is a joint effort of the Worldwide Fund for Nature, India and Confederation of Indian Industries, okay, mainly to create a world where plastic is valued and does not pollute the environment. So this pact will target the business to transition towards a circular economy for plastics by 2030. So circular economy means recycling of plastic, reusing of plastics. Okay, so World Wildlife Fund for Nature, India is established in 1969 and headquarters is in Delhi. So Confederation of Indian Industry established in 1895 and headquarters is in New Delhi. Okay, so both New Delhi headquarters. So next question. So Ministry of Ayush, they launched a new campaign called Ayush Aapki Dwar to distribute medicinal plant samplings to how many households in this 1 year? So Ministry of Ayush has launched a new campaign called Ayush Aapki Dwar to distribute how many medicinal plant samplings to the households in 1 year? The answer is 75 lakh. So as a part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebrations, which is the 75th year of independence. So we are celebrating the 75th year of independence. So as a part of Azadi Ki Amrit Mahotsav celebrations, so Ministry of Ayush, they launched a campaign called the Ayush Aapki Dwar, where they aim to distribute medicinal plant samplings to 75 lakh households in this 1 year. So this campaign was launched by the Union Minister of Ayush, the new minister Sarbanand Sonowal from Mumbai, where he distributed medicinal plants to the citizens. So this particular campaign is launched in 45 locations across the country, and they are distributing medicinal plants like Tejpat, Ashoka, Giloy, Ashwagandha, lemongrass, tulsi, sarpagandha, amla, all these medicinal plants are distributed across 45 locations in the country. So they are also targeting cultivation of medicinal plants across 75,000 hectares in 1 year. So these are the details about the campaign Ayush Aapki Dwar. Okay. So next, PM Modi has inaugurated Shikshak Parv 2021, and what is the theme of this event? So Shikshak Parv 2021 is inaugurated by PM Modi, and the theme is Quality and Sustainable Schools, Learnings from Schools in India. Quality and Sustainable Schools, Learnings from Schools in India. Okay, so PM Modi, he inaugurated this event and he addressed the inaugural conclave through video conference, and the theme for this year is Quality and Sustainable Schools, Learning from Schools in India. This event is organized by the Ministry of Education between September 7th to 17th. Okay, so the main objective of this event is to encourage innovative practices to ensure not only continuity of education at all levels, but also to improve the quality, inclusive practices and sustainability in schools across the country. So these are the objectives of the Shikshak Parv 2021. So remember. So next question, TriFed, so Tribal Federation, Cooperative Federation, TriFed. So they are planning to launch Atmanirbhar Bharat Corners in how many Indian missions, embassies across the world in the next 3 months? So how many they are planning to launch this Atmanirbhar Bharat Corners? They are total 75. Same as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebration, 75 years of independence. So TriFed and the Ministry of External Affairs. So both of them are going to launch Atmanirbhar Bharat Corners. So TRIFED is abbreviated as Tribal Cooperative Marketing Development Federation of India. So TRIFED, in collaboration with the Ministry of External Affairs, they are going to set up Atmanirbhar Bharat Corners in 75 Indian missions, embassies across the world in the next 3 months. And first such Atmanirbhar Bharat Corner was established in Indian Embassy in Bangkok, Thailand on August 15th. So in the next 3 months, they are setting up in 75 locations. Also, in India, we have foreign embassies. So 75 embassies of foreign countries. So in these embassies also, TRIFED will set up Atmanirbhar Corners, where they will encourage, they will promote the GI tagged tribal art and craft products besides the natural and organic products. So this is the main, they will establish like a stall, like a shop, to encourage these products, to promote the products among the world. Okay. So let us discuss about TRIFED. It's a national level cooperative body mandated to bring socio-economic development of tribals by institutionalizing the trade of minor forest produce and surplus agricultural produce collected or cultivated by them. It is established in 1987, headquartered in New Delhi, and works under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Okay. So next question, Prana Portal was launched by which ministry? Prana Portal was launched by which ministry or which minister? The answer is the Ministry of Environment. So Ministry of Environment, they launched this Prana Portal. So the current Union Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bhupendra Yadav, he launched Prana Portal for regulation of air pollution in 132 cities. So Prana is abbreviated as Portal for Regulation of Air Pollution in Non-Attainment Cities. Okay. So this portal will support tracking of physical as well as financial status of the city air action plan implementation, as well as disseminate information on air quality to the public. So this cities, they come under the National Clean Air Program will be covered. Mainly the cities which come under National Clean Air Program will be covered. Okay. Sorry. Next question. India's first emergency landing facility on national highway has been inaugurated in which state? So India's first emergency landing facility on highways for the fighter jets was inaugurated in which state? The answer is Rajasthan. So in the state of Rajasthan, Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari, so both of them inaugurated the emergency landing facility on the national highway in Rajasthan. So this emergency landing facility was constructed in the Satagandhav stretch of the national highway 925A in Barmer, Rajasthan. Okay, so this is the first time that the national highway is used for emergency landing of the aircrafts, Indian Air Force aircrafts. So this project was constructed at a cost of 765 crores under the Bharatmala Pariyojana program. So National Highway Authority of India, they developed this 3-kilometer stretch on the National Highway 925A, so which is an emergency landing facility for the Indian Air Force. Okay, so apart from landing, emergency landing strip, 3 helipads were also constructed. Okay, in the Kundanpura, Singhania and Bakasar villages as a part of this project. So this is mainly for utilization of Indian Air Force aircrafts during a war or during any emergency situation. So National Highway Authority of India, they constructed this strip. So established in 1988 and headquarters is in New Delhi, remember. Now next question. President Ramnath Kovind has appointed whom as the Governor of Uttarakhand, where the post was fell vacant after Baby Rani Maurya, the former governor of Uttarakhand, has tendered her resignations. Who is the new governor of Uttarakhand? The answer is Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh. So Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh is the new governor of Uttarakhand. Also for Uttarakhand, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, they got their new governors. So let us see who are those governors. So President Ramnath Kovind has appointed Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh, who retired as the Deputy Chief of Army, as the Governor of Uttarakhand. And also Banwarlal Purohit, who was earlier the Governor of Tamil Nadu, was appointed the Governor of Punjab. R.N. Ravi, who is earlier the Governor of Nagaland, is now the Governor of Tamil Nadu. And Jagadish Mukhi, who is the Governor of Assam, is now going to discharge the functions of Governor of Nagaland. So please remember, Gurmeet Singh is the Governor of Uttarakhand, Banwarlal Purohit, Governor of Punjab, R.N. Ravi, Governor of Tamil Nadu, Jagadish Mukhi, the Governor of Nagaland. Okay, so remember all these points. Next we'll see international news. We have 4 important questions in this international news. Okay, so let us see the international news. So name the Prime Minister of Japan who stepped down from his post recently. So name the Prime Minister of Japan who recently resigned. The answer is Yoshihide Suga. So Yoshihide Suga, he resigned from the post of Prime Minister of Japan. Okay, so 1 year ago, he was sworn in as the Prime Minister of Japan. So after 1 year, he resigned due to the prevailing COVID pandemic situation in the country, and also his approval ratings, his support ratings were very low, below 30%. So he has a lot of opposition from the public. He lost public support, and because of the COVID pandemic situation, he is going to resign as the Prime Minister. So he is not going to participate in the ruling Liberal Democratic Party election in September. So that means the party will choose a new leader who will become the new Prime Minister. So Yoshihide Suga, so he announced that he will not participate in the election, coming election, party election in September. That means party will choose a new leader, so you will get a new Prime Minister for Japan. Okay, so Japan capital Tokyo, Japan currency Japanese yen. So next question. So which country is in the world, first in the world to vaccinate toddlers, that is children, infants. So first country in the world to vaccinate children is Cuba. So Cuba announced that they are going to vaccinate children from the age of 2. Okay, so Cuba has developed their own homegrown jabs which are not recognized yet by the World Health Organization. So the communist country, so they have a population of 11.2 million, and they aim to inoculate all its children before reopening schools, which were closed from March 2020. So before opening the schools, Cuba is going to vaccinate all its children above the age of 2. Okay, so countries like China, United Arab Emirates and Venezuela, so they also announced their plan to vaccinate younger children, but Cuba is the first to do the action. So Cuban vaccines, which are first developed in Latin America, so they don't have any international scientific review. They don't have approval from the World Health Organization, but they are vaccinating in their countries. So Cuba capital Havana, Cuba currency Cuban peso. Okay. So next question. So Earth observation satellite Xiaofin. Okay. So Earth observation satellite Xiaofin 502 has been launched by which country? So Xiaofin 502 was launched by China. So China recently has launched the Earth observation satellite named Xiaofin 502 into space using their Long March 4C rocket from the Taiyuan satellite launch station in North China's Shanxi province. So from the Shanxi province, from the Taiyuan satellite launch center, their Earth observation satellite Xiaofin was launched. So this is the 24th in the series of Xiaofin Earth observation satellites of China, mainly to monitor the environmental protection efforts and to boost their natural resources surveillance. So it's a hyperspectral satellite mainly used in comprehensive environmental monitoring to improve the country's hyperspectral observation capacity of environment, atmosphere, water and land. Okay, so please remember Xiaofin, China. So China capital Beijing, China currency renminbi. So next question and the last question in this section. So first country to adopt Bitcoin as national currency. So first country to adopt Bitcoin as national currency, it is El Salvador. So El Salvador, so the first country to adopt Bitcoin as national currency. So from now onwards in El Salvador, so Bitcoin will be legal tender. So government announced this so that many citizens of the country will have access to bank services for the first time. So also trading in cryptocurrency will help countries save nearly $400 million in fee that is levied by banks and financial institutions on the money that is sent home by the expats. So expats are people who are residing in other countries other than their native countries, that is migrants. So these El Salvador migrants, they are sending a lot of money to their country, remittances. So the lot of fees are charged by the banks and financial institutions. So this cryptocurrency will help to reduce all these fees. So Bitcoin, acceptance of Bitcoin as legal currency by El Salvador was followed by a law passed by the country's parliament in June. So it was approved by the president within 24 hours after passing in the parliament. Now country allows Bitcoin to be accepted as legal tender for all the goods and services. So El Salvador capital San Salvador and El Salvador currency US dollar as well as Bitcoin. Both will be legal currencies. So US dollar and Bitcoin both are legal tender now in El Salvador. So remember, very very important, this is a definite question in the examination. So next we'll see state news, 4 important questions in state news. Okay. So India's first Dugong Conservation Reserve is going to be established in which state? So Dugong Conservation Reserve is going to be established in Tamil Nadu. So dugongs are nothing but sea cows. Okay. So Tamil Nadu state government has announced to establish India's first Dugong Conservation Reserve in the northern part of Palk Bay. So dugongs are commonly called sea cows, and according to the Wildlife Institute of India estimate, nearly 250 dugongs are left in the wild, of which 150 are present in Palk Bay and Gulf of Mannar in Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu has nearly 150 of these species. So the reserve will span from the northern part of Palk Bay, from Adirampattinam to Amapattinam. So this region you will have this reserve. So this reserve will have an area of nearly 500 square kilometer, so which will protect these sea cows. So Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin and Tamil Nadu new Governor R.N. Ravi. So remember, very very important. So now next question. So which state government has launched a Vatan Prem Yojana? So which state government has launched a Vatan Prem Yojana? The answer is Gujarat. So Gujarat state government has announced undertaking public welfare projects worth rupees 1000 crore with the help of non-resident Gujaratis by December 2022. So these projects will be under the state government's Vatan Prem Yojana. So this Yojana was launched in Gujarat, mainly focusing on rural development through public and state contributions. So this scheme will be undertaken with 40% state government contribution and 60% from the general public. So mainly from the non-resident Gujaratis and NRIs, their contributions will be utilized in this program. So they are invited to contribute. So this scheme provides these NRIs with the opportunity to change their love for nation into service for nation, and also to make rural areas self-reliant, and it's an important step in development of villages. So Gujarat new Chief Minister Bhupendra Bhai Patel and Gujarat Governor Acharya Devrat. So do remember, Gujarat has a new Chief Minister Bhupendra Bhai Patel. Okay, remember. So next, these are the projects covered under the Vatan Prem Yojana. So smart classes, building smart classes, community halls, PHCs and Anganwadis, CCTVs, water recycling, drainage, sewerage treatment and beautification of ponds, bus stands and solar energy powered street lights. So using the money, using the Vatan Prem Yojana, all these things will be constructed in Gujarat. So next, who was appointed as economic advisor by the Andhra Pradesh government? So which among the following was appointed as the economic advisor by Andhra Pradesh government? The answer is Rajneesh Kumar. So former SBI chairperson Rajneesh Kumar was appointed as the economic advisor by the Andhra Pradesh government. So he will be having a cabinet rank position and a tenure of 2 years. So Rajneesh Kumar, he retired as SBI chairman in October 2020. Currently the independent non-executive director of Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, that is HSBC. Okay, so last week only we discussed about HSBC. So Rajneesh Kumar, HSBC non-executive director. Now he is AP government's economic advisor. Sorry. So Rajneesh Kumar appointment is expected to help the state government steer through the financially tough junction. Okay. So please remember, Andhra Pradesh Governor Bishwa Bhushan Harichandan, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Y.S. Jaganmohan Reddy. So next question. So name the Governor of Uttarakhand who resigned recently. We already discussed who is the Uttarakhand Governor who resigned recently. The answer is Baby Rani Maurya. So Baby Rani Maurya has resigned as the Uttarakhand Chief Minister on September 8th after 2 years of completing her term, citing personal reasons. So she was appointed as the governor in August 2018. So the new governor of Uttarakhand is Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh. Okay. So remember all these points. Now we'll see appointments. We have a lot of appointments. So be patient. We have a lot of appointments this week. So who has been appointed as the Vice President of Asian Squash Federation from India? So who was appointed the Vice President of Asian Squash Federation and he is from India? The answer is Cyrus Puncha. So Cyrus Puncha from India is the new Vice President of Asian Squash Federation. Okay. So the body has unanimously elected Cyrus Puncha as the Asian Squash Federation Vice President at the 41st General Meeting of the Asian Squash Federation. He is a Dronachari awardee and he is elected for a term of 4 years. Okay. So David Mui of Hong Kong, he is the President. He was elected as the President, and Vice President Cyrus Puncha. Along with Cyrus Puncha, Faiz Abdullah of Kuwait and Tai Suk-hee of Korea are also appointed as the vice presidents. The Asian Squash Federation headquarters is in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, established in 1980, mainly to look after the sport of squash, to encourage the sport of squash. Okay, so please remember. Next, who is the new chairman and managing director, CMD of United India Insurance Company Limited? Who is the new chairman and managing director of United India Insurance Company Limited? The answer is SL Tripathi. So SL Tripathi is the new chairman and managing director of United India Insurance Company Limited. So earlier he worked as the general manager and director at the New India Insurance Company Limited. Now he will be the CMD of United India Insurance Health Insurance Limited. So it is headquartered in Chennai and established in 1938. Okay, so remember. So next, hockey player, Indian women hockey player and hockey team captain Rani Rampal and cricketer Smriti Madana. So both of them were appointed brand ambassadors of which bank? So they are the brand ambassadors of which bank? They are the brand ambassadors of Equitas Small Finance Bank. So Smriti Madana and Rani Rampal, so both of them are appointed as the brand ambassadors of the Equitas Small Finance Bank. So this was announced during the 5th anniversary of which was celebrated on September 5th by the Equitas Small Finance Bank. So Rani Rampal, the youngest player to play in national hockey team, and Smriti Madana, who is recognized as the best woman international cricketer by BCCI. So both of them are now the brand ambassadors of the bank. So Equitas Small Finance Bank headquarters Chennai, established in 2016. It's a new bank, remember. So next question, who is the new managing director of the Export and Import Bank? Who is the new managing director of Export Import Bank of India? The answer is Harsha Bhupender Bangari. So Harsha Bhupender Bangari is the new managing director of Export and Import Bank. Okay, so the government has appointed Harsha Bhupender as the new managing director. So before the position of managing director, she worked as the deputy managing director at Exim Bank. So she was appointed for a term of 3 years. Okay, so earlier the managing director of the Exim Bank was David Rashkunha. Okay, so he resigned. So now this position is now held by Harsha Bhupender Bangari. So Exim Bank, established in 1982, headquarters is in Mumbai, remember. Next question, who is the president of India chapter of International Road Federation? So who is the president of India chapter of International Road Federation? The answer is Satish Parik. So Satish Parik, who belongs to the Ashok Buildcon, so Ashok Build Company. So he is the managing director and promoter of Ashok Build Company. So he, Satish Parik, is the new president of India chapter of the International Road Federation. Okay, so earlier this position was held by Subhmay Gangopadhyaya. So from him, Satish Parik will take over the position of the president of India chapter of the International Road Federation. So International Road Federation is a Geneva-based global road safety body which works for betterment of roads and safety of roads, safer roads worldwide. Established in 1948 and headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. So next question, who is appointed as the officiating president of the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal? Who is appointed as the officiating president of Income Tax Appellate Tribunal? So the answer is G.S. Pannu. So G.S. Pannu is the officiating president, the interim president of the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. So presently he is the vice president. Now he will be the interim president till a new president is appointed. Okay. So before joining the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, G.S. Pannu is a practicing chartered accountant at New Delhi between 1986 to 2000. Okay. So let us discuss about Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, which is very, very important. So it's a quasi-judicial institution set up in 1941 under Section 5A of the Income Tax Act. So it has 3 benches at Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, and it has currently now initially has 3 benches, currently has 63 benches at 27 different stations. So this Income Tax Appellate Tribunal is referred as a mother tribunal because of being the oldest tribunal in the country and mainly deals with appeals under the Direct Tax Acts, namely the Income Tax Act of 1961. Okay, so please remember mother tribunal, Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. Next question, Tata AI Life Insurance, they announced signing a multi-year brand partnership with the Indian athlete and Olympic gold medalist as their brand ambassador. So who is the new brand ambassador of Tata AI Life Insurance? The answer is Neeraj Chopra. So Neeraj Chopra, Olympic gold medalist, so he will be partnering with the Tata AI Life Insurance and he signed a multi-year brand partnership. Okay, so it is the first brand partnership to be signed by this champion javelin thrower post his historic win at the recent Tokyo Olympics, winning gold for India. So over the next few years, Neeraj Chopra will support the Tata AIA's insurance efforts in offering best-in-class life insurance and health and wellness solutions to its customers across the country. So this Tata Life Insurance was established in 2000 and headquarters is in Mumbai, remember. The next question, name the MD and CEO of IDFC First Bank who was reappointed to the post by RBI for further 3 years. So who is the MD CEO of IDFC First Bank? So the answer is V. Vaidyanathan. So V. Vaidyanathan, so he got approval from RBI to continue as the MD and CEO of the IDFC First Bank. So this will be effect from December 13, 2021, and further next 3 years he will be the MD and CEO of IDFC First Bank. So earlier he was appointed as the MD CEO in December 2018 after the merger of IDFC Bank and Capital First Bank. Okay, so IDFC First Bank headquarters Mumbai, established in 2015. So next question, the new chairman and managing director of National Fertilizers Limited. So the new chairman and managing director of National Fertilizers Limited is Nirlip Singh Rai. So Nirlip Singh Rai is appointed as the managing director of state-owned fertilizer firm National Fertilizers Limited. Prior to this appointment, he was director technical in the same company. So Nirlip Singh Rai, he held the position of CEO of the Ramgundam Fertilizers and Chemicals Limited earlier. Now he will be the CMD of National Fertilizers Limited, which is headquartered in Noida, established in 1979. Okay. So next, the chairman of Assembly of Asian Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions. So who was elected as the chairman of the Assembly of Asian Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions? So the answer is Girish Chandra Murmu. So Girish Chandra Murmu, the current CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General of India, CAG, the auditor, the chief auditor of India. So he was elected as the chairman of the Assembly of Asian Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions for a period of 3 years from 2024 to 27. So he was elected during the 56th governing body, and India will host the 16th assembly in 2024. So then GC Murmu will be the chairman of the assembly. Okay. So as the chairman, he will be the chief executive. He will represent the Asian Association in dealing with national and international organizations, and he also assured the members that during his 3 years term, he will focus on environmental audit and leveraging emerging technologies for audit. Okay, so let us discuss about this association for Supreme Audit Institutions. It is a part of the International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions, which aims to promote understanding and cooperation among the member institutions and exchange of ideas and experiences in the field of public audit. They'll meet once in 3 years. So that is why 2024-27 we will be the president. So it was established in 1979 with 11 members, currently has 47 members and headquartered in Beijing, China. Okay, so please remember all these points. So next question, name the new chairman of National Commission of Minorities. So the last question in this section, the new chairman of National Commission of Minorities, the answer is Iqbal Singh Lalpura. Iqbal Singh Lalpura is the new chairman of National Commission for Minorities. He is a former IPS officer from Punjab, and he is also the author of several books on Sikh philosophy. So he earlier won the President's Police Medal and the Police Medal for Meritorious Service, Shiromani Sikh Sahitkar Award and Sikh Scholar Award. Okay, so he wrote nearly 14 books on Sikh philosophy and Sikh history. So he is the new chairman of National Commission for Minorities. So this National Commission for Minorities was established by the National Commission for Minorities Act 1992. Okay, so earlier it was the Minorities Commission but renamed as the National Commission of Minorities in 1992. So it was a set up in 1993, headquarters in New Delhi by the National Commission of Minorities Act 1992, set up in 1993. This commission will work for the development of recognized minorities in India, and the current Minister for Minority Affairs is Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, and there are 6 religious minorities, okay, notified as minority religions in India. So they are Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, Parsis and Jains. Okay, so please remember, very important. Next we'll see next section of summits and conferences. We have 3 important questions in this section. So who was appointed as India's Sherp for G20 summit? So who was appointed as India's Sherp for G20 summit? The answer is Piyush Goyal. So the Union Minister for Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal is the new Sherp, G20 Sherp. Okay. So let us discuss what is all this Sherp and all. So India is going to host the G20 summit in 2023. So India will assume the presidency from December 1st to 2022, and they'll convene the leaders meeting in 2023 for the first time. And Piyush Goyal, the Union Minister for Commerce, is the India Sherp. Okay. So Sherp is a diplomat who undertakes the preparatory work prior to the summit's conference. So prior to conference, so Piyush Goyal will look after all the work to complete, to do for the summit. Okay. So 2021 G20 summit is held in Rome, Italy. 2022 G20 will be held in Bali, Indonesia. And 2023, it is in India. So 2021 G20 summit under Italian presidency, they focused on 3 areas: people, planet, prosperity. So let us discuss about G20, very important. So it's made up of 19 countries and European Union, established in 1999 in response to several economic crises. So since 2008, this group is meeting once in a year. Okay. So like the heads of the government or state or finance minister, foreign minister, other ranking officials, they are meeting, okay, as a part of these G20 summits since 2008. So all the 19 countries, here is the list: Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, Germany, France, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey, UK, USA, and European Union. Okay, remember all these points. Very important. So next step, PM Modi recently chaired the BRICS Summit 2021 virtually. So which edition is this summit? So PM Modi, he recently chaired the BRICS Summit, and it is the 13th BRICS Summit. So very important, 13th BRICS Summit, because India is the chair of this 13th BRICS Summit. So that is why you need to remember. And the theme for this year is BRICS at the rate of 15, intra-BRICS cooperation for continuity, consolidation, and conscience. So this theme was chosen by India because this is the 15th anniversary of the BRICS to be observed in the year 2021. So this year it is the 15th year of establishment of BRICS. So the theme for this year is BRICS at the rate of 15, intra-BRICS cooperation for continuity, consolidation, and conscience. And PM Modi called for enhanced BRICS cooperation under the motto of built back resiliently, innovatively, credibly, and sustainably. Okay. So this summit concluded with the adoption of the New Delhi Declaration, and this is the 3rd time India is hosting the BRICS Summit. Prior to this, India hosted in 2012 and 2016, and PM Modi, this is he is the 2nd time to chair the BRICS Summit. Earlier he chaired the Goa BRICS Summit in 2016. Okay, so please remember all these points, very important. So this year India has prioritized on 4 areas. They are reform of multilateral system, counter-terrorism cooperation, using digital and technological tools to achieve the sustainable development goals, enhancing people-to-people exchanges. Okay, so let us discuss about BRICS. So BRICS is an acronym of grouping of world-leading emerging economies, namely Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. In 2001, the British economist Jim O'Neill, he coined the term BRIC, so which describes 4 emerging economies: Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And this was formalized in 2006, and South Africa joined BRIC nations in 2010, and now it's called BRICS, okay, including South Africa. So the chairman of the forum is rotated annually among the members in the same pattern: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And their own bank is the New Development Bank. It's a multilateral bank established in 2014 and headquartered in Shanghai, China. Okay, so remember all these points about BRIC, very important. Static points. So what is the theme? You know already what is the theme. You know the theme. The theme is BRICS at the rate of 15, intra-BRICS cooperation for continuity, consolidation, and conscience. So remember all these points. Okay, very important. Now we will see awards. We have 5 important awards. Quickly we will see the awards. So President Ramnath Kovind has presented National Teacher Award to how many teachers across the country this year? So National Teacher Awards was given to how many teachers? It is 44 teachers. So in the National Teachers Award 2021, President Ramnath Kovind gave awards nearly to the 44 finest teachers in the country for their dedicated contribution to the education. So this award is contributed to those who improve the quality of education for students and also for improving, inspiring, enriching their lives. Okay, so Ministry of Education will release the list of the 44 teachers, and of the 44 teachers 9 are women. Okay, so this year it was given virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic situation. So next question, who was awarded the 7th Yamin Hazarika Woman of Substance Award 2021? So who was given the award? The answer is Namita Gokhale. So Namita Gokhale was given the 7th Yamin Hazarika Woman of Substance Award 2021. So she is a popular writer and the co-founder and co-director of the Jaipur Literature Festival, and also the mentor of the Himalayan Echoes and the Kumaon Festival of Literature and Arts. So she is an award-winning writer with 20 books including 11 works of fiction. Okay, she was given the Yamin Hazarika Woman of Substance Award. So this award was established in 2015 after the Yamin Hazarika, who is the first woman from Northeast India to be selected for DAN IPS, which is a federal police service administering the Delhi and Union territories, established in 1977. Okay, so under her name this award was constituted, okay, by women professionals. So please remember Namita Gokhale Yamin Hazarika Award. So next is Bellar Turtle Conservation Award. So who won the Bellar Turtle Conservation Award? The answer is Sailendra Singh. Sailendra Singh, Indian biologist. So he was given the Bellar Turtle Conservation Award for bringing 3 critical endangered turtle conservation species back from the brink of extinction. Okay, so Sailendra Singh was named to lead the Turtle Surveillance Alliance Wildlife Conservation Society India Turtle Program. Okay, so let us discuss about the Bellar Turtle Conservation Award, which was established in 2006 to recognize outstanding achievements, contributions and leadership excellence in the international turtle conservation and biology. So this award was bestowed by several global bodies which are involved in turtle conservation, like the Turtle Surveillance Alliance, IUCN SSC Tortoise and Freshwater Turtle Specialist Group, Turtle Conservancy and Turtle Conservation Fund. Okay, so this award was constituted in 2006 by Andrews Rodin and Rick Hudson. So with the help of all these international turtle conservation bodies, so it has an award with a prize money of $5,000. Okay, and also it is widely considered as the Nobel Prize of Turtle Conservation and Biology. So please remember. So next question, who will be inducted into the Asian Federation of Advertising Associations Hall of Fame at the Ad Asia 2021? So who will be inducted into the Asian Federation of Advertising Associations Hall of Fame Ad Asia 2021? The answer is Ramesh Narayan. So Indian advertising doyen, he is a tycoon, Ramesh Narayan. He will be inducted into the Asian Federation of Advertising Association Hall of Fame at the Ad Asia 2021. So this Hall of Fame is mainly to recognize the best of the very best. So it's for those who defined the generation of advertising. Okay, so earlier Ramesh Narayan was honored with lot of lifetime achievements awards, champion awards, public relation awards, many awards by different advertising organizations. Okay, so this Asian Federation of Advertising Association is an international association for development and support of advertising industry in Asia, mainly to promote, protect, develop advertising within the context of conditions and varying cultures prevailing in Asian region. Established in 1978, headquartered in Batu Caves, Selangor, Malaysia. So Batu Caves, it is in Malaysia, very popular in many Tollywood, Bollywood films. You will find this Batu Caves. Okay, you can type Batu Caves, you can search Batu Caves. So next question, Global Golden Rock Railway Workshop, Trichy. So they bagged the 22nd National Award for Excellence in Energy Management from which of the following organization? So which of the following organization presents the National Award for Excellence in Energy Management? The answer is Confederation of Indian Industry. So Confederation of Indian Industry, they provide this award, they present this award, the National Award for Excellence in Energy Management, and it is backed by the Golden Rock Railway Workshop of Trichy, Tiruchirappalli. Okay, so for adopting and implementing various energy conservation measures. So this Golden Rock Railway Workshop, which is the only workshop of Indian Railways to achieve the award this year. So this National Award for Excellence in Energy Management is constituted by the Confederation of Indian Industry. So mainly to catalyze significant and innovative practices in the energy efficiency sector. So it will conduct an annual event to recognize and award excellence in energy management among the industrial sector and railway workshops across the country to facilitate sharing of information on best practices and technologies. So Confederation of Indian Industry, it's a non-governmental trade association and advocacy group established in 1895 and headquartered in New Delhi. Okay, so please remember CII, very important because it is twice in this week. So next we will see business news. We have 5 important business news. So LIC has brought 3.9% shares in which of the following bank? So LIC has bought 3.9% shares in which of the following bank? So the answer is Bank of India. So Bank of India, earlier LIC bought some 4% shares. Now again LIC bought 3.9% shares through the open market acquisition. So with this, now LIC has 7% share in Bank of India. Okay, so this information was shared by Bank of India to SEBI. So according to the SEBI rules, companies have to inform the stock exchanges when their entities hold more than 5% shares in a listed company. So LIC has now more than 5%, 7% share in Bank of India. So that is why LIC need to inform SEBI. Okay, so LIC headquarters Mumbai, LIC established 1956, LIC chairman is M.R. Kumar. Remember, LIC is going for IPO, initial public offering this year, so you need to remember. So Bank of India established 1906 and headquarters is in Mumbai. So next, which company has launched India's first digital payment interactive geospatial platform named Pulse? So which company has launched Pulse? The answer is PhonePe. So PhonePe, so this fintech company, they launched a PhonePe Pulse, which is India's first innovative platform with data insights and trends on digital payments. So this platform will show more than 2,000 crore digital transactions by customers on an interactive map of India. So PhonePe has launched this Pulse report, an in-depth study on evolution of digital payments over the past 5 years. So this report will have insights about how digital payment adoption across the India has evolved since 2016, including a detailed geographical and category specific trends. Okay, so this report is available as a free download on the PhonePe Pulse website, and this product is relevant to multi-ecosystem stakeholders, including government, policymakers, regulatory bodies, media, industry, analysts, merchant partners, startups, academic institutions, students to study the digital platform, digital payment system in India. Okay, so PhonePe headquarters Bengaluru, established in 2015, and PhonePe was acquired by Flipkart in 2016. So PhonePe parent company now is Flipkart. Next question. So which financial body has approved $112 million loan to improve water supply infrastructure in Jharkhand? So the answer is Asian Development Bank. So Asian Development Bank provided $112 million loan to Jharkhand to develop the water supply system. Okay, so sorry, to develop the water supply system infrastructure and to strengthen the capacities of urban local bodies. So to improve the delivery in 4 towns in Jharkhand, so Asian Development Bank has provided $112 million loan. So this is the first project of Asian Development Bank in the state of Jharkhand. So this project will be ADB's first urban project in the state. It will help to establish a model for continuous water supply combined with policy reforms for sustainable operation. So please remember Jharkhand CM Hemant Soren and Jharkhand Governor Ramesh Vyas. Okay. So let us discuss about ADB, Asian Development Bank. It's a regional development bank established in 1966. Currently has 68 members, 49 from Asia. So it is headquartered in Manila, Philippines, and the 5 largest shareholders are Japan, USA, China, India, and Australia. This bank is mainly to promote social and economic development in Asia. Okay, so please remember Asian Development Bank, very important. Next question is also about Asian Development Bank. They provided a loan. How much loan they provided to improvement of rural connectivity in Maharashtra? So Asian Development Bank provided how much loan to Maharashtra? It is $300 million. So $300 million loan was approved by Asian Development Bank for rural connectivity project in Maharashtra. So earlier in 2019 they provided 200 million. Now they are providing additional 300 million, total 500 million for rural connectivity to boost the rural economy in the state of Maharashtra. Okay, so this amount will be used for developing 1100 and rural roads, 230 bridges, and a total length of 2900 kilometers of roads in 34 districts. So Maharashtra governor, please remember Bhagat Singh Koshyari, Maharashtra chief minister, you know him very well, Uddhav Thackeray. Okay, you know about ADB, we discussed about ADB, same slide. Now last question in this section, Nfini credit card facility was launched by which company for fintech and banks? So Nfini credit card was launched by NPCI, National Payments Corporation of India. So National Payments Corporation of India and NASDAQ listed Fiserv. So both of them, they entered into an understanding to launch the plug and play RuPay credit card stick called Nfini. So it's a banking as a service program which provides a ready stack of services required for fintechs and banks to issue RuPay credit cards. So fintechs will now be able to co-create a new credit card program sponsored by banks on this Nfini platform. Okay, so this program will empower fintechs to swiftly and effectively launch new credit cards for retail as well as for corporate customers. So National Payments Corporation of India headquarters Mumbai, established 2008, and Fiserv is headquartered in Brookfield, Wisconsin, USA, Wisconsin State, USA, and established in 1984. So please remember, NPCI and Fiserv, both of them launched Nfini. It's a stake, it's a platform where you can develop credit cards. So next, banking news, we will see there are 4 important banking news. So Wise POS Go, POS, point of sale device, was launched by which of the following bank? So Karnataka Bank has launched this Wise POS Go point of sale devices. Okay, so Karnataka Bank has launched all-in-one point of sale swiping machine which is called Wise POS Go, mainly for its merchant customers to process all the business payments. Okay, so they developed this point of sale machine in collaboration with M-Swipe Technologies Private Limited. So mainly to expand their digital payment infrastructure and to promote a cashless economy, Karnataka Bank has launched this POS machine. It's a compact, lightweight, user-friendly device, mainly designed keeping in view the specific cost-centric requirements of bank MSME customers. So apart from processing payments, merchants can make calls using this swiping device. It's an all-in-one swiping device with advanced features like contactless payment, mobile phone service, QR code payments, pay by link, max tip, and barcode scanner. Okay, so this will enable, it will ease the transactions for bank, retail, and MSME customers. Okay, in a convenient and flexible way of shopping. Okay, it will provide all the customers a convenient way of shopping. So Karnataka Bank headquarters Bengaluru, established in 1924. M-Swipe Technologies headquarters Mumbai, established in 2011. Okay, so please remember these points. So next, Reserve Bank of India has taken which public sector lender out of the prompt corrective action framework on improvement of financial and credit profile? So which bank was taken out of the prompt corrective action? The answer is UCO Bank. So RBI has taken public sector lender UCO Bank from the prompt corrective action framework after improvement in financial and credit profile. So this decision gives bank more freedom for lending, especially to corporations, grow the network and subject to prescribed norms. Okay, so this Kolkata based lender, it was placed under PCA, prompt corrective action, in 2017 on account of high non-performing assets and negative return on assets. So now it came out of this prompt corrective action. Only now Indian Overseas Bank and Central Bank of India are present in the prompt corrective action. So this PCA framework is imposed by central bank mainly when they breach the regulatory thresholds in bad loans and capital adequacy. Okay, so please remember. So UCO Bank headquarters Kolkata, established in 1943. So next question, how many merchant banks have been appointed by government to manage the initial public offering of LIC? How many merchant banks have been appointed by government to manage the initial public offering of LIC? The answer is 10 banks. So government of India has appointed 10 merchant banks for managing the initial public offering of LIC. So the IPO of LIC is likely to be launched in Jan-March quarter of 2022. And the role of these merchant banks will be to issue management, promotional activities, credit syndication, project counseling and portfolio management. So these banks will do all these IPO operations, okay? So unlike retail and commercial banks, these merchant banks, they do not provide financial services to general public, okay? They are not regular banks. So these merchant banks are mainly for the IPO purposes, okay? So here is the list of all the merchant banks: Goldman Sachs, Citigroup Global Markets, Nomura Financial Advisories and Securities, SBI Capital, JM Financial, Axis Capital, BOFA Securities, JP Morgan, ICICI Securities, Kotak Mahindra Capital Company Limited. So these are all the 10 merchant banks, okay? So please remember, LIC established 1956, headquartered Mumbai, chairman M.R. Kumar. Now, last question. So Bank of Baroda, they launched their digital banking platform under which name to bring banking services under one roof. So Bank of Baroda has launched their digital banking platform called Bob World, BOB World. So BOB World is their new digital banking platform, mainly to provide all the banking services under one roof. So this pilot test will begin on August 23, 2021, and over nearly it began on 23 August. So over 220 services, they were converged into one single app, covering nearly 95% of the retail banking services. So this can be accessed by customers globally and domestically using the mobile app, okay, Bob World, BOB World. So it provides a lot of banking products, okay, and under 4 pillars: save, invest, borrow and shop. It's an integrated e-commerce. It is integrated to e-commerce to provide wholesome and rewarding experience for banking and beyond under one roof to all its customers. So Bank of Baroda headquarters Vadodara, Gujarat, and established in 1908. So remember these points about the bank. Now we'll see economy news. We have only 2 important questions in the economy news. So the 24th meeting of Financial Stability and Development Council was held recently. Who is the chairperson of this Financial Stability and Development Council? The answer is Finance Minister. So Finance Minister is the chairperson, that is Nirmala Sitharaman is the chairperson of the Finance Stability and Development Council. So the 24th meeting was held recently. So this Financial Stability and Development Council is a non-statutory apex council under the Ministry of Finance, constituted in 2010. It is mainly recommended by the Raghuram Ranjan Committee in 2008. Okay, so this is an apex level forum set up by Government of India, mainly to strengthen the mechanism for maintaining financial stability, enhancing inter-regulatory coordination and promoting financial sector development. Okay, so please remember all these points. So next question, the gross domestic product GDP of India in financial year 2022 as per Standard & Poor global ratings. So what is the GDP? Please tell me the answer. So the answer is 9.5%. So Standard & Poor global ratings, they estimated India's GDP for financial year 2022 at 9.5%. And for the next financial year 2023, they are estimating 7%. So India's external position is very strong and it is supporting the sovereign rating, and India is expected to post strong economic growth in the coming quarters, even as the inflation led by food prices is likely to remain inflated, but India is going to project high growth rates. Okay, so Moody's, Standard & Poor, Fitch Ratings are the top 3 credit rating agencies in the world. So Standard & Poor headquartered in New York and established in 1860. Okay, it's a credit rating agency, so remember. Next we will see agreement news. 2 important agreement news we have. So India has recently inked a project agreement for air-launched unmanned aerial vehicles with all the following countries. So India has agreed for project agreement for air-launched unmanned aerial vehicles with which of the following country? The answer is USA. So the Ministry of Defense, Government of India, and US Department of Defense, all so Ministry of Defense and Department of Defense of USA, so both of them signed an agreement called the project agreement for air-launched unmanned aerial vehicles. Okay, so this is part of the research, development, testing and evaluation project. So it mainly aims at deepening defense technology collaboration between 2 countries through co-development of defense equipment. Okay, so under the collaboration, 2 countries will work towards design, development, demonstration, testing and evaluation of systems to co-develop a air-launched unmanned aerial vehicle prototypes. So this agreement is signed under the Defense Technology and Trade Initiative, which aims to bring sustainable leadership, focusing to promote collaborative technology exchange, create opportunities for co-production and co-development of further technologies for both India and US military forces. Okay, so please remember. So next, which bank has partnered with NSIC to provide credit support to MSMEs? So which bank has partnered with NSIC? The answer is HDFC Bank. So HDFC Bank has partnered with NSIC, National Small Industries Corporation, to provide credit support to MSMEs. Okay, so mainly they will provide credit support to the micro, small, medium enterprises. So the branches of HDFC, they will extend support to the MSME projects in the area where they are located, and mainly in the important industrial sectors across the country. So the India's largest private sector bank, HDFC, they will provide MSMEs with a set of specially tailored schemes to enhance their competitiveness. So HDFC Bank headquarters Mumbai, established in 1994. Please remember. So National Small Industries Corporation, which is a Government of India enterprise under the Ministry of Micro, Small, Medium Industries, established in 1955, headquartered in New Delhi. Okay, remember these points too. Now we will quickly see defense news. We have 4 important defense news. SIMBEX 2021 is an annual bilateral maritime exercise of India and Singapore. So this year, which edition was conducted? So SIMBEX this year, which edition was conducted? The answer is 28th edition. So the 28th edition of India-Singapore maritime bilateral exercise took place between September 2nd to 4th. So SIMBEX is a bilateral exercise, and this year it is hosted by the Singapore Navy in the South China Sea. So from India, INS Ranavijay, INS Kiltan and INS Kora. So and also the Maritime Patrol Aircraft P-88. So all these participated in the maritime exercise of SIMBEX. So Singapore capital, Singapore city, and Singapore currency, Singapore dollar, remember. So next question, India-Australia bilateral naval exercise AUSINDEX 2021. Okay, so it is being conducted this year. So which edition is being conducted? So the answer is 4th edition. So 4th edition of India-Australia bilateral naval exercise called AUSINDEX 2021 is conducted between Indian Navy and Royal Australian Navy between September 6 and September 10. So from India side, INS Shivalik and INS Kadman. So both of them participated in the exercise. So Australia capital Canberra, Australia currency Australian dollar. So remember these points. Next, what is the theme of Pacific Air Chiefs Symposium 2021? What is the theme of Pacific Air Chiefs Symposium 2021? The answer is enduring cooperation through regional stability. Enduring cooperation through regional stability. Okay, so the Indian Air Force Chief Rakesh Kumar Singh Bhaduria, so he attended the 3-day long Pacific Air Chiefs Symposium, which was held in the Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Okay, so the event was themed enduring cooperation towards regional stability, which is attended by air chiefs from the countries of Indo-Pacific region, and our Air Chief Marshal Rakesh Kumar Singh was nominated the dean for this symposium. He is the chairman for this symposium. Okay, so India, USA, Australia, Japan and many other like-minded countries, they are working towards ensuring a free, open, inclusive Asia Pacific. So this symposium saw a lot of deliberations through panel discussions, tabletop exercises and keynote addresses, and topics ranging from regional security to cooperation among the air forces for humanitarian and disaster relief operations. Okay, remember. So next question, President's Color Award is given in which fields? So President Color Award is given in which fields? The answer is military. Okay, so recently President Ramnath Kovind has awarded the President Color to Indian Naval Aviation at a ceremonial parade which was held in INS Hansa in Goa. So President was given Guard of Honor by Indian Navy on this occasion. So President's Color is the highest honor which is bestowed on the military unit in recognition for its exceptional service to the nation. Okay, so if any military unit is doing exceptional service, they will be given the President Color, which is also called as Nishan. It's an emblem that will be worn by all the unit officers on the left hand sleeve of their uniforms. So on their left hand sleeve, this Nishan, the emblem will be worn on their uniforms. So Indian Navy is the first among Indian Air Forces to be given this award in 1951 by then President Rajendra Prasad. Okay, So now who was given? The Indian Naval Aviation Academy. Okay, Indian Navy's aviation wing was given. So earlier these were all the winners. The Southern Naval Command, Eastern Naval Command, Western Naval Command, Eastern Fleet, Western Fleet, Submarine Arm, INS Shivaji, and Indian Naval Academy. All these were given the awards. So Indian Navy established 1612. Indian Navy headquarters, New Delhi. Remember. Next we will see the ranks and reports. So which among the following banks was ranked first in the mighty digital payment scoreboard for the months of February and March 2021? So which bank is ranked first in the mighty digital payment scoreboard for the months of February, March 2021? So what is the answer? The answer is Bank of Baroda. So Bank of Baroda announced that it was the first with a total of 86% marks on the scoreboard issued by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology for the months of February and March 2021. So it was rated good. Earlier it was given average, now it is rated good. Okay, so the scorecard ranks 44 banks, public sector banks, private sector banks, foreign banks, payment banks, small finance banks on various parameters on digital business. So Bank of Baroda established 1908, headquarters Vadodara, Gujarat. Remember, okay? Excuse me. Next question. Which institute has topped the overall category ranking of NIRF India Rankings 2021? Which institute topped the rankings? The answer is IIT Madras. So IIT Madras ranks in the overall category of NIRF India Ranking 2021. Okay. So the Union Minister of Education Dharmendra Pradhan, remember he is the new minister. So he released the NIRF India Rankings 2021. Okay. So it is the 6th edition of the rankings which ranks higher educational institutions in the country based on the objective criteria to promote competitive excellence. Okay. So here is the list. Overall, IIT Madras, University, IISc Bangalore, Management, IIM Ahmedabad, College, Mirinda House, Pharmacy, Jamia Hamrat, Medical, AIIMS Delhi, Engineering, IIT Madras, Architecture, IIT Roorkee, Dental, Manipal College, Udupi, Law, National Law School, Bengaluru, Research Institutes, IISc Bangalore. So these are the ranks, okay, by every institution you need to remember. So the National Institutional Ranking Framework, NIRF, is a methodology adopted by the Ministry of Education to rank higher educational institutions in India. So this framework was adopted by the Ministry of Human Resource Development and launched by the ministry in 2015. Okay, remember. Next we will see science and technology news. Only one single question this week. Okay. India's first building made of biobricks from agro waste has been inaugurated at which place? So first building made up of biobricks from agro waste has been inaugurated in which IIT? The answer is IIT Hyderabad. So here is the picture of the building. So this is built from biobricks, okay, which are developed from agro waste. Okay. So the sample building of made from biobricks which are supported by a metal framework. So this roof is also made up of biobricks over PVC sheets to reduce the heat. Okay. So this this building is a part of bold unique idea led development project mainly to demonstrate the strength and versatility of the material. Both inside and outside walls are cement plastered to protect the biobricks from rain. Okay. So please remember IIT Hyderabad, they built the biobrick building. Next quickly we will see all the books and authors. So the book named Know Your Rights and Claim Them, a guide for youth. So this book is authored by whom? Know Your Rights and Claim Them, a guide for youth is authored by Angelina Jolie. So famous Hollywood celebrity Angelina Jolie. So she authored the book Know Your Rights and Claim Them. Okay, so please remember. So next, who is the Bollywood and Tollywood personality who authored the book Back to the Roots? So this book Back to the Roots is authored by Tamanna Bhatia. So Tamanna Bhatia has authored the book Back to the Roots. Okay, so please remember. So next book, Geeta Govinda, Jaydev's Divine Odyssey. So this book is authored by Utpal K. Banerjee. So Utpal Banerjee is the author of the book Geeta Govinda, Jaydev Divine Odyssey. Okay. So next question, Bullets Over Bombay, Satya and the Hindi film Gangster. So this book is authored by which of the following? The answer is Uday Bhatia. So Uday Bhatia is the author of the book Bullets Over Bombay, Satya and the Hindi film Gangster. Okay, so please remember all these points. Now we will see sports news. Sports news is very, very important, okay, because we have Tokyo Paralympics. So that is why very, very important. So Dutch Grand Prix is won by which of the following? The answer is Max Verstappen. So Max Verstappen has won the Dutch Grand Prix, Formula 1 Dutch Grand Prix, very important, remember. Lewis Hamilton second rank and Valtteri Bottas third rank. So Max Verstappen of Netherlands, Red Bull Racing won the Dutch Grand Prix 2021. So next, how many medals are won by India at the Tokyo Paralympics 2020? How many medals are won by India? 19 medals. It's a record in the Paralympic history of India. So first time we have won nearly 19 medals. So how many medals India won? 19 medals, and India finished at 24th position. So let us discuss in detail about the Tokyo Paralympics. So India finished their campaign at the Tokyo Paralympics with 19 medals. It's an all-time high record, 5 gold, 8 silver, 6 bronze, and India is placed at 24th position in the total 162 nations. Okay. So let us discuss also about the Indian flag bearers. So javelin thrower Tek Chand is the flag bearer at the opening ceremony. Shooter Avani Lekra is the flag bearer at the closing ceremony. Okay. So India at Paralympics, let us discuss few more points. India sent the largest contingent this year with 54 para-athletes who will compete across 9 sporting disciplines, and also a theme song was composed by Sanjeev Singh. He is a Divyang cricketer from Lucknow, and the theme song is titled Kar De Kamal Tu. Okay, so it's the theme song, and here is the list of medalists, Indian medalists in the Paralympics. So gold, Sumit Antil, men's javelin throw. Pramod Bhatt, men's singles badminton. Krishna Nagar, men's singles badminton. Manish Narwal, mixed 50-meter pistol. Avani Lekra, women 10-meter air rifle. Okay. Yogesh Katunya, silver. This is the list of silver. Yogesh Katunya, men's discus throw. Nishat Kumar, men's high jump. Mariyappan Thangavelu, men's high jump. Praveen Kumar, men's high jump. Devendra Jajadia, men's javelin throw. Suhas Yatiraj, men's single badminton. Singaraj Adana, mixed 50-meter pistol. Bhavana Patil, women's singles table tennis. So now we'll see bronze medals. Archery, Harvinder Singh. Sarath Kumar, men's high jump. Sundar Singh Gurjar, men's javelin throw. Manoj Sarkar, men's singles badminton. Singaraj Adana, men's 10-meter air pistol shooting. And last, Avani Lekra, women's 50-meter rifle shooting. So these are all the medals. Please remember the medal list, very important. And also, Tokyo Paralympics is the 16th summer Paralympic Games which were held in Tokyo, Japan from August 24th to September 5th. So this year, badminton and taekwondo were inducted for the first time in the Paralympics. China topped the medal list with 207 medals. United Kingdom second with 124 medals, and USA with 104 medals. So China 207, United Kingdom 124, USA 104. Please remember all these points, very important. So next question, which country has topped the medal tally at 2020 Summer Paralympics at Tokyo? You know the answer is China. So China 207, United Kingdom 124, USA 104. So next, what is the rank of India at 2020 Summer Olympics at Tokyo? What is the rank? We already discussed. India's rank is 24th. So India with 19 medals is ranked at 24th position in the overall medal tally. Okay. So please remember 24th rank. So next question is about Durand Cup. So how many teams are participating in the 130th edition of Durand Cup? So how many teams are participating? 16 teams. 16 teams are participating in the Durand Cup. It's the world's third oldest and Asia's oldest football tournament, Durand Cup, which is held in Kolkata from September 5th to October 21st. So this year marks the 130th edition. So last year it was not conducted due to the COVID pandemic. So Durand Cup, which was first held in 1888 at Daksha in Himachal Pradesh, it was named after the Mortimer Durand, who is then the Foreign Secretary to India. Okay, so this tournament was launched mainly to maintain health and fitness among British troops. Later it was open to civilians. Now it is currently the leading sports event, one of the leading sports events globally. Mohan Bagan and East Bengal FC, they are most successful teams, winning 16 times each. So in 2019, Gokulam Kerala FC, they won the tournament. They are the defending champions. So 16 teams are now going to participate in this Durand Cup, of which 4 are from services, that is from the armed forces. So winning team will be given 3 trophies in total. One is President's Cup, the second one is Durand Cup, and finally the Shimla Trophy. So please remember about Durand Cup, very important for all your exams. Next, former Australian pacer who was roped in as the bowling coach for the Puducherry cricket team. So who is the Australian pacer, Australian bowler who was appointed as the bowling coach for Puducherry team? The answer is Sean Tate. Sean Tate is the bowling coach of Puducherry team, okay, cricket team, okay. So along with Sean, Dishant Yagnik will be the head coach and Kalpender Jha will be one of the coaches of the Puducherry cricket team. So he is an Australian player. He was the bowling coach of Afghanistan team for 5 months. Now he will be Puducherry team bowling coach, okay. So he played nearly 3 tests, 35 ODIs and 21 T20s for Australia, and also he played for Rajasthan Royals, okay. So he is mainly famous for his triumph in West Indies in 2007 in the World Cup, okay, claiming nearly 23 wickets. So please remember about him. He is the new coach of Puducherry cricket team, bowling coach, okay, Sean Tate. So next, who is the flag bearer of closing ceremony of Tokyo Paralympics? You know the answer. The answer is Avani Lekra. So Avani Lekra is the closing ceremony flag bearer. Tek Chand is the opening ceremony flag bearer. Kharde Kamal Tu is the theme song for Paralympics. Okay, so please remember. So next question and the last question from sports. Who has broken the world record for most goals scored in men's international football? So who broke the record? Who is now the world record for most goals scored in men's international football? The answer is Cristiano Ronaldo. So Cristiano Ronaldo from Portuguese, he has now the Guinness World Record for most goals scored in men's international football. Earlier, the record was under Iranian striker Ali Diaf of 109 goals. Now Cristiano Ronaldo at the age of 36 is now the world record holder of most international goals with 111 goals, okay. So Guinness World Record, Book of Records, they recognize Cristiano Ronaldo as the world record breaker for most goals scored in international football matches and in individual male category. So please remember, very very important. So quickly we'll see all the important days. We have 12 important days in this week, okay. So quickly we'll see all the important days. So first one, International Day of Charity is observed on. International Day of Charity is observed on September 5th. So September 5th is observed as International Day of Charity, the death anniversary of Mother Teresa, who is a Nobel Prize winner in 1979. So International Day of Charity is observed on September 5th, okay. So please remember. So National Teachers Day is observed on again September 5th. National Teachers Day September 5th, it is the birth anniversary of Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, who is the second President of India and the first Vice President of India. So on this day, Teachers Day is observed, and on this day, Ministry of Education will present National Teacher Awards, and you know President Kovind has given 44 teacher awards this year. So Food Processing Week. So Food Processing Week is observed from September 6 to September 12. So September 6 to September 12 is observed as Food Processing Week. So to commemorate the 75 years of independence, as a part of Azadi Ki Amrit Mahotsav celebrations, Ministry of Food Processing is celebrating Food Processing Week from 6th to 12th September. So International Day of Clean Air is observed on. International Day of Clean Air is observed on 7th September. International Day of Clean Air is observed on 7th September. Okay, so mainly this day is to promote and facilitate actions to improve air quality, and the theme for this year is Healthy Air, Healthy Planet. Next question is about theme. Theme for International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies 2021. The answer is Healthy Air, Healthy Planet. Okay, so please remember. Next, International Literacy Day. International Literacy is observed on September 8th. September 8th is International Literacy Day. This day aims to spread awareness about the importance of literacy for individuals, communities and societies, and the theme for this year is Literacy for a Human-Centric Recovery, Narrowing the Digital Divide. Remember the theme, very very important. Next question is about the theme for International Literacy Day. The answer, you know the answer, Literacy for a Human-Centered Recovery, Narrowing the Digital Divide, okay. So next question. International Day to Protect Education from Attack. International Day to Protect Education from Attack is observed on 9th September. So International Day to Protect Education from Attack is observed on 9th September, mainly to raise awareness regarding the importance of safeguarding schools as places of protection and safety of students and educators, and the need to keep education at the top of public agenda, okay. So next question, World Suicide Prevention Day is observed on. World Suicide Prevention Day is observed on 10th September. So this day is mainly to create awareness about how suicide can be prevented, and the theme for this year is creating hope through action. Theme is creating hope through action. So next question is same. What is the theme for World Suicide Prevention Day? The answer is creating hope through action. Okay, so please remember all these points, very very important. World EV Day is observed on September 9th. So World EV Day is observed on September 9th. First EV Day is observed in which year? First EV Day is observed in 2020. So first EV Day is observed in 2020. World EV Day is observed on September 9th every year, mainly to mark the celebration of e-mobility. Special awareness campaigns will be organized globally to educate people about the benefits of electric vehicles. So first day is observed in 2020, and China is the largest EV market in the world. So this day is mainly to recognize the benefits of electric vehicles and to make commitment by the drivers to make their commitment that next car they drive will be electric and not on conventional fuels. Okay, so please remember World EV Day September 9. Next, Himalayan Divas is observed by state of Uttarakhand on which of the following day? It is on 9th September. Himalayan Divas or Himalayan Day is observed on 9th September. So National Mission for Clean Ganga is organizing the Himalayan Divas on September 9 in association with the Nola Foundation, and the theme for this year is contribution of Himalayas and our responsibilities. So this will be part of the Azad Ke Amrit Mahotsav celebrations also. So this day is celebrated on September 9th by the state of Uttarakhand. So it is celebrated with the aim to conserve the Himalayan ecosystem in the region, and officially the Himalayan Day was declared in 2015 by the then Chief Minister of Uttarakhand. So please remember Himalayan Day was September 9. Okay, so these are all the days. Quickly we revised all the days. Now we will go into obituaries. We have 3 important questions this week. So legendary football player John Pierre Adams. So he passed away recently. He belongs to which country? John Pierre Adams. He passed away recently. He belongs to France. So John Pierre Adams, he is a former France football player. So he went into coma for nearly 39 years. So he recently passed away. Okay. So during a routine knee surgery in 1982, because of some medical error, he went into coma. So he made 22 appearances before going into coma for the France national football team, and also at club level he played for PSG FC, Nims FC and OGC Nice FC. For all these football clubs he played earlier. So he passed away recently. So next question, case of Desiraju. So he passed away recently. He formerly was in the position of which of the following post? So case of Desiraju, who passed away recently, was earlier the health secretary. Okay, so former health secretary, case of Desiraju, he passed away due to acute coronary syndrome. He is grandson of former president Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. So he is a IAS officer of 1978 batch from Uttarakhand. So he passed away recently, a case of Desiraju. So remember. Okay, so he is mainly remembered for his contributions towards mental health and community healthcare, and he is the architect of India's Mental Health Care Act of 2017. Okay, so please remember all these points. So next question, Rajni Kaul, okay, who passed away recently, is the first woman broadcaster, news broadcaster of which of the following TV? So Rajni Kaul, she belongs to BBC Hindi. So Rajni Kaul, first news broadcaster for BBC Hindi. She passed away in Faridabad, Haryana. She is 93. She is not only the first woman to join BBC as a staff member, but also the first woman to read a news bulletin in Hindi on the network in 1961. She is well known for her program Indradhanush. So she passed away recently, Rajni Kaul. Now we will see the last section for today, miscellaneous section. We have 4 questions. So first question, which railway station was awarded 5-star Eat-Right station? Which railway station was awarded 5-star Eat-Right station? The answer is Chandigarh railway station. So Chandigarh railway station was given 5-star Eat-Right station award. Okay, so Chandigarh railway station was given this 5-star Eat-Right station certification for providing high quality nutritious food to its passengers. So this certificate was given by the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India upon conclusion of the unpaneled third party audit agency. Chandigarh was selected to upgrade on the pattern of the world class railway station. Okay, so the certificate is a part of Eat Right India movement, which is a large scale effort by the Food Safety Standards Authority of India to transform country's food system to ensure healthy, safe, sustainable food for Indians. So it is established, the FSSA is established in 2011, headquarters is in New Delhi, remember. Next question, India's tallest air purification tower is established in which of the state or union territory? The answer is again Chandigarh. So India's tallest air purification tower is established in Chandigarh, okay, after the initiation of the Chandigarh Pollution Control Committee by the Pace Air Private Limited. So they established this tallest air purifier tower in Chandigarh. It's the highest air purifier tower which will cover an area of 500 meters and is 24 meters high. Okay, so this purification tower will clean nearly 3.88 crore cubic feet of air from the surrounding environment. Okay, so Pace Air Limited was established in 2019 and headquartered in Vadodara, Gujarat, and Chandigarh Lieutenant Governor is Banwarlal Purohit. So remember all these points. Okay, so these are all the MCQs. So last MCQ. So BHEL, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited. So they set up India's first indigenously designed high ash coal gasification based methanol production plant in which of the following city? So this BHEL, they set up India's first indigenously designed high ash coal gasification based methanol production plant in which city? The answer is Hyderabad. So in Hyderabad, BHEL, they set up this methanol production plant. So this is funded by the Department of Science and Technology by a 10 crore grant under the initiative of Niti Aayog, PMO and Ministry of Coal. So this facility can create 0.25 ton per day methanol from high ash Indian coal using 1.2 ton per day fluidized bed gasifier. Okay, the purity of crude methanol produced is 98 to 99.5% pure. So methanol can be used as motor fuel to power ships and to generate clean power around the world. So this high ash coal gasification based methanol plant will be helpful to produce methanol in India. So methanol can generate dimethyl ether, which is a liquid fuel that is similar to diesel, which can be used in diesel engines. Okay, so by modifying these diesel engines, you can use this methanol based dimethyl ether fuel. Okay, so that are the uses of this methanol. So BHEL established 1964, headquarters is in New Delhi. Okay, so final question. So world's largest plant designed to capture carbon dioxide directly out of air has been inaugurated in which country? So largest plant designed to capture carbon dioxide directly from air is inaugurated in which country? The answer is Iceland. So in Iceland, this world's largest plant designed to capture carbon dioxide from air is launched in Ireland. So this plant is called Orka. Orka means energy in Icelandic word. It can suck nearly 4,000 tons of carbon dioxide per year. So this carbon dioxide captured directly from air will be deposited underground at a depth of 1,000 meters in a form of rock, where it will be turned into a form of rock. Okay, so carbon dioxide will be it will be sucked from air and it will be deposited in the ground in the form of rock. Okay, so this facility was developed by Carbfix, an Icelandic carbon storage firm, and Swiss company Climeworks AG, which is specializing in capturing carbon dioxide directly from air. So this technology will become a major tool in fighting against climate change. So please remember all these points. So Iceland capital Reykjavik and Iceland currency Icelandic krona. Okay, so please remember Iceland capital Reykjavik and Iceland currency Icelandic krona. So these are all the questions for week 2. So in a day or two we'll upload September week 3 also. So please watch our channel. Sorry for the delay. So soon we'll bring the banking awareness and other important videos related to IBPS, RRB, clerk mains. Okay, soon we'll bring the videos. This week or next week probably you will continuously get videos on IBPS, RRB, and also September part 3. Okay, so stay tuned to your channel. Please subscribe our channel, like and share our videos. Okay, join the Telegram channel and download the Career Power Hyderabad app. We'll provide the links in the description as well as comment section. So thank you students. We'll meet in the next class.